welcome to this video. If you clicked on this video, I'm sure you want to know what foodstuffs to pack when you're leaving Nigeria and how best to preserve them. So in this video, I'm taking you through my kitchen, showing you how I've preserved my foodstuff to this point so far, and I'm sharing with you travel tips, what to pack, what not to pack, and what you can or cannot get in the US for foodstuff. So this is meant to be a very quick video, so I don't think there's too much to say for foodstuff, right? Because it all depends on what you eat and what you do not eat. For me, I practically eat anything. So as a Nigerian, there's some basic stuff that you'd be considering getting, which is food items, swallow, egusi, ogbono, and then leaves, right? So for me, I was able to dry leaves. I got ugu leaf and bitter leaf. Oh, I also have utazi leaf. So what I did was I got these leaves fresh from the market, and then I air dried them under the sun for as long as a week. And then I cut them into like tiny pieces and packed them in an airtight Ziploc bag. So for red oil, I know that most people say it's illegal to carry liquid to travel. I was able to carry the red oil, but what I did was I put it in the freezer, so it was solid. By the time I traveled with it, it was as hard as a rock. So what I would say, if you want to travel with red oil, I would say put it in the freezer. Another tip is they put their red oil in different gallons, like different water bottles, and then put it in the freezer, so they distribute it throughout their luggage. So if your bag is being searched and they find one, they might not be able to find other ones. But for me, it wasn't an issue, because even if they ran it through a scanner, I wasn't with any liquid because it was solid. Also, looking at the red oil dilemma, I wasn't sure whether or not I would be successful in carrying my oil through the embassy. So what I did was I fried some of my foodstuff in red oil. So in case, say, they confiscated my oil, I would not be left without anything. And so far my foodstuff hasn't spoiled. So what I did was I grounded my egusi, I dried it, and then I fried it in hot red oil. What wasn't so much, just a little bit of red oil, and then I dried it again for additional 3 days or so under the sun. So I made sure it was dry before I packed it into airtight Ziploc bags and labeled them to travel. I was surprised at the embassy to see people traveling with sachet tomato, and I was like, what? Why? And really though, why? Because now that I'm here, I've been able to find a tin tomato brand that works for me. If you don't like using fresh tomatoes, right, you can always find many. And I found Hunt's so far. It's awesome. It's as good as fresh tomatoes, and they have it in different packs. They have the one that is in tomato paste. They have the one that is like diced tomatoes. So I would not recommend traveling with sachet tomatoes if maybe you are more interested in some brands like Gino or so. Good for you, but for me, I would not recommend. Instead, I would recommend traveling with enough Maggi, seasoning, thyme, curry, spices in general, because they are generally more affordable in Nigeria, and then you can get whatever spice you want. But over here, they're limited spices and they are expensive. To find Maggi seasoning cube, even in the African market, I don't think they had. By the time I went, they didn't have the normal Maggi you have. One tip I would mention though is do not bother carrying any spices that has chicken on it. Anything that they mention chicken on it, don't bother. If you're taking your seasoning, let it be beef or crayfish or any flavored stuff, but not. I did mention not to take chicken because of the chicken flu. The US authorities, or any authority in fact, I think mostly US, they are very particular about chicken flavored stuff, and they would seize it as a contraband and trash it. So please do not take chicken flavored spices. Also, do not bother taking smoked beef. I don't think they would let it pass. But for smoked fish, for mine, it wasn't seized or anything. I think they saw it and they let it pass. So yes, you can take smoked and dried fish, but I don't think meat is allowed. Beef, chicken, none of that. So now let me take you to my kitchen where I show you my foodstuff I have preserved what is working for me and what is
Now
not.
let's head to my cupboard. In my cupboard, I preferably keep dried packaged leaves, which is ugu leaf, which is pumpkin leaf, bitter leaf, and utazi leaf, also scent leaf. So these leaves were washed and sun-dried before they were packaged in these Ziploc bags, and they can last as long as a year. I had most of my ugu leaf, which is pumpkin leaf, get spoiled because I made the mistake of putting it in the freezer. So advice to you, it's better you put it in an airtight bag and keep it in a dry cupboard for storage. Also in my cupboard, I have some dried spices, which include pepper. As you can see, I have Cameroon pepper here and red pepper. I also have some crayfish, which were dried and grounded. So it's best to store this in an airtight Ziploc bag in a very dry place. I have some dried thyme, some assorted spices like jollof spices, pepper soup spice. Also, I have some Maggi cubes, and I have curry in the purple nylon over there. I was also able to get swallow from the Nigerian market here. I got this old swallow for $17.99, and I brought this red oil from Nigeria. I also bought this sweet beans for $27.99 here in the US. This is the part of my freezer where I store vegetables. So here I have abacha stored. It can last up to a year, thanks to my mom. And I have some powdered okra. I don't know when I'm going to be able to make these, but oh well, I shall have it. Now let's head to my freezer, which is not humidity controlled. Here I usually store my meat and some food stuff like egusi and ogbono. I wasn't sure just what I'll be able to travel from Nigeria with. So here I grounded my egusi. I dried it for some days before I grounded it, and then I fried some with red oil. That's why it's red. I also did that for this pack of ogbono. So I have two packs. I have the part that is fried with red oil, and I have the part that is not. I also have some dried smoked catfish here. So just for you to take a closer look at the fish, they were smoked, dried, was it roasted? I have all parts of the fish here, the head, the tail, and like the middle part of the fish, depending on what you want to cook and what you think will give the best flavor to your food. It's best to store this in an airtight container because the minute it gets wet and it's not used or dried again, it will start spoiling. So as you can see, the fish is well preserved here in this airtight bag and in the freezer, so it doesn't get
And that's it, guys. Let me know what you think. If there are additional tips you have that you think could be beneficial to other people, please do drop it down in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more videos on just about anything. Thank you for sticking around.